Hi, I'm Phil Constantine, and in this episode of Travels with Phil, we're going to be looking at the ways to get out to the area around the wave. All right, you're looking at the Arizona-Utah border. This dotted line right through here is Utah to the north, Arizona to the south. Over to the left here, you have Kanab. This is Highway 89, and this is Page, Arizona. So if you're trying to get out to the wave, this is the way that most people would normally get out there. So you have to have a permit to be in the area. For places like Buckskin, Gulch, anybody can get a permit, but if you're going to the wave, you do have to have a special permit, which is only able to get as part of a lottery. So let's take a look as if you're approaching it from either direction out there, and I'll pull in the little thing here so you can move in and look and take a look and see. All right, as you start to come up right around here, you can see the sign straight ahead there. And there it is. This is if you're coming from Page, heading over toward Kanab. And then the exit itself is right up here, just right there by the end. Now the signs may be down. No guarantee the signs are going to be there because they could be knocked over, could be replaced. Somebody could steal them. You never know what's going to happen. So let's move a little bit further past down here, and we'll see what it looks like coming the opposite direction. And again, this is coming from Kanab. Let me turn it around. This is coming from Kanab going toward Page. And there's the sign right there. See it? House Rock Valley Road. And then this is the exit you're going to take to get to House Rock Valley Road right here. And so you come down here and you travel along this road for some distance. And now we'll go back to the regular map. Once you make it from the curve right here, which is 89 where the House Rock Valley Road goes, you're going to travel along. Now this is mostly a dirt road. And I'll show you a couple of pictures here. This can be very, very hazardous when it is wet. When it is dry, you can use just about any kind of vehicle to get down there. But when it's wet, it is a real mess, and you may need four-wheel drive. When I was there in 2017, we rented a four-wheel drive out of Kanab to get down there. So most people that are going to be coming here are coming either to go to the wave, which is right there, or they're trying to get into the Wire Pass Trailhead, or the Buckskin Gulch, or this entire area down here to the Paria Slot Canyons. So I'm going to start off with the wave. Now, one thing I do want to make sure everybody understands here, I am not recommending that you use this as an alternative to getting a permit. Absolutely no way possible should you go into the area without the permits. Now, you can get a permit for Buckskin Gulch, anybody can, but for the wave, you do have to have a special permit, which is only by lottery. And I'm not recommending in any way that you try to bypass that. I like to play by the rules. And even if you don't like to play by the rules, there are going to be rangers out there that check for the permits to make sure. It could be a $1,000 fine and other kinds of penalties. So if you're coming in, this is the Wire Pass Trailhead right here. This is the best spot to come into the wave. And you come along this area here along this dry wash. And eventually, as you come around the second curve here, you'll see right there it says the Wave Trail. So you follow that along. Now, if you do get the permit to come out to the wave, and mainly I'm just trying to show you what kind of terrain you're going to be passing over here. If you do get the permit, it does have a very nice map, and it actually has pictures which says, if you're at this point, you should see this, or reverse. If you see this up ahead, this is where you are. So it gives you very good directions. A lot of people, when they get out there, they get worried, am I going to miss it? They do a very good job. So when you come to the first, or the second, I guess, wash, you come up the hill and you come up the side over here and come around. Now, as you'll notice, if you try to look this up on Google, you will occasionally see something out here that says, there we go. It says the Wave Trail. Well, the wave doesn't travel in a straight line. The Wave Trail doesn't travel in a straight line there. So what you do is you'll follow the map that you get from the Bureau of Land Management, and you only get this map is if you won the lottery, or you got into the lottery. And a lot of people, if you look at this map here, it says you go through the sort of the valley. Well, when you're using the map, you stay up along the upper edges here. You pass on the west side of the Twin Buttes that look sort of like teepees. Some people call them the small Tetons, as in the Grand Tetons. And as you continue along, you stay up here along the edges and travel along, and then eventually you will come down into this sort of a valley, a little bit of a valley here. There's the state line. So literally, most people say, oh, well, you know, the wave, it's in Utah. No, the wave about a mile or two into the area around, into Arizona. So once you make it up here, and what you're looking for, there's a big cleft up here in the mountains, and you're looking for that. And it's a lot easier to find than some people will make you think it is. Getting back might be a little bit more difficult because a lot of people aren't looking behind them as they travel along. But again, you don't go by this Google thing. It's good. It's a good idea to maybe take some pictures along with you just so you feel good. But again, you're going to be getting pictures on a map if you win the lottery. But you come up this little section right through here. Travel along. Now, some of these spots out here are going to be a little steep. Some of these spots are going to be very sandy. So keep that in mind as you're traveling through there. So if you're going to be hiking out there, it's about 3.5 miles, give or take a little bit, one way. So it's going to be around 7 miles round trip. And so you may get a little bit tired, and if you're out of shape, it's going to be a problem. But this right here, this is the quote-unquote the wave. This area right here, just from side to side, maybe 50 feet. It is not that big. A little bit longer in this direction, but the quote-unquote wave, the one spot that's called the wave, is not that big of a spot, but it is surrounded by some amazing geology and views. You can see arches up here. There's a spot over here called the second wave, which is just really, really great looking stuff. Checkerboard mesas kind of things. There's all kinds of arches up here. There's Melody Arch down there. You can see different views up here from different spots. You can come up on both sides. Now, if you spend a lot of time, there's a lot of places out here you can explore. Hourglass Rock. There's all kinds of other things out here. Over here, there's a spot where there's dinosaur tracks, and maybe a little picture there pops up. So there's all kinds of things you can look at while you're out here trying to explore the area around the wave. But again, the wave itself just a tiny area, but there's definitely going to be changing some elevations. These are called teepees over here. Interesting spots out there. But again, if you're anywhere in here, you have to have won the lottery. Right now, it's 64 people per day maximum are allowed. And one thing I do suggest is if you are in the area, if you're going to go to all that trouble, you might as well go just a little bit south of the parking lot, the Wire Pass Trailhead, and go to the Mesa Rock Art Trail, and you can follow that across. And then there's some really nice looking rock art or petroglyphs right here. So let's come back over to the trailhead. And remember, as you're going along, pay attention as to where you came from, so it's easier when you come back to find your way back. So we're back at the trailhead right here, the Wire Pass Trailhead. Now, the same trail to get to Buckskin Gulch is the one that you use for the wave. And more people get into Buckskin Gulch because it isn't limited by the number of people. Anytime, though, the rules may change. Used to be only 10 people a day were allowed in the wave, and now there's 64, so that could be changing. But you take the wave trail, Wire Pass Trail, follow it through, and you come into some really, right in through here, you come into some amazing slot canyons. And then you come here to the confluence, as it were, with Wire Trail and the Buckskin Gulch. And it is just a really, really cool spot. Now, this is the quickest way to get into the slot canyons right here. If you really, 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 really want to get the entire experience, the full 20 some odd miles of slot canyons, as much as 26 depending on how you want to count them. Again, you're right here on the House Rock Valley Road. You can catch the trailhead there. And there you go, Upper Buckskin Gulch Trailhead. And follow this along. And this is what makes it one of the if not, this is probably the longest slot canyon in the world. Many spots out here may be just a few feet wide and a couple of 100 feet high. Unfortunately, this is very hazardous. There have been many people killed in this slot canyon when a flash flood happened. Now, most people aren't going to go into a slot canyon and know that it's raining, but you could have rain 50 miles away. and then make it here within a couple of hours, and you wouldn't have any notice that it's coming because there's really no cell service out there. You might be able to get a satellite phone perhaps, but again, when you're in a narrow canyon, it's hard to tell. And there's only a few spots where you can get out of the canyon, literally, and I'll show you pictures here. You can see logs jammed in the walls 20 feet up in the air. So you have to be very, very careful. But the quickest way to get there is taking this here, the Wire Pass Trail, up to this area, and you can come back. But if you're I was going to say courageous or foolhardy, you can take the entire Slot Canyon, keep traveling along. It goes along and along and along and along and along. Finally, it comes up to the Paria conjunction here, and then this continues on, and then the canyon starts to widen out. But still, even though it's wider, it is amazing kind of terrain that you're going through here. There are a couple spots where you can't. There's one spot, to be sure, that you can hike out, but basically until you come down here, almost all the way down to the the Colorado, we're north of the Grand Canyon. That's it. There's no way to get out of it other than one or two spots out there. There may be a few ledges you might be able to get on, but again, people are killed in here when there are flash floods that come into this area. So keep this in mind if you're traveling out here. Again, some really nice spots. You can travel along the road here with no permits whatsoever. But once you get off the road, there's also a campground. It says State Line Campground. If it's open, no guarantee that it's going to be open. But other than that, once you get on the east side of the road here, you cannot camp out in that area without checking first. In most places, you cannot. So again, if you're trying to go to the Buckskin Gulch, you will need a permit, but almost anybody can get those. And if you are trying to get to the Wave, which is just a phenomenal spot, if you're trying to get out to the Wave itself requires you win a lottery, which only 64 people per day get in. You can only get into it through a computer. There's roughly 4 or 16 people that can get in 2 days in advance, and then everything else is done 4 months in advance. And both of these are online. One of them, you have to have a cell phone or smartphone. And if you're one of the 16 daily permits that are allowed, you have to be within a certain area, and I'll show you on the map. You have to be within a certain area before you even qualify, and then you can use your cell phone to click in and say, all right, I'm in the area. I want to see if I can get one of those 16 permits a day that qualifies you, and if you do, win. Now, some people say as few as 3% of the people who try to get in. Some people say as much as 10% if you're going winter's a little bit easier than the summertime. If you are there during the summer, it is hot. It is extremely hot. It can be above 100 degrees, and there's almost no shade whatsoever as far as the Wave is concerned. You may find a ledge somewhere that you can get under, but you're open exposure. So just keep that in mind if you're traveling out there. It is a fantastic trip. If you can win the lottery, it is amazing, and this is something you will remember forever. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to make comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And if you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button below. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the circle with my picture in it in the lower right-hand corner of the video. The arrow is pointing at it now. And once you have subscribed, you can be notified of when I have a new video posted by clicking on the bell icon in the description field below the video. Thanks again for watching.